Welcome to Homeschool Life. I'm Jonathan,
And I'm Adriana.
and we're just going to have a chat today about, why to homeschool and y'all getting started with homeschooling.
Yeah, we're starting this series where we want to try to address why you should homeschool.
And
It's
some
a
of
hot topic today, right?
it really is. And the thing is, um, this is just impromptu conversations between Adriana and us. And it's not scripted or anything. We pick a topic and we want to just go with it.
It's a raw conversation, basically, because we have them all the time. So we want to share that dynamics that we have as husband and wife, being a big part of the homeschooling aspect for our child.
Yes, we in the mornings typically we'll have plenty of conversations, and we say at the end, it's like, man, we should have recorded this.
Yeah, we're always talking about topics, and that's really what you should be doing in your household. Always talking about these topics. How are you gonna address your issues, or how are you gonna run your family, basically?
Absolutely, because communication, of course, everyone knows,
It's
is a key.
communication and building relationship, which we're gonna also talk about that, about the building relationship. But first of all, is the biggest thing with everything going on politically is why should we homeschool now more than ever?
Right, and also one of the first things that parents face in deciding, okay, I don't want to send my kids back after all this, okay, because it's just not going to work for us for whatever reason. And so one of the first things they do is they run back to the same bureaucracy that they're used to, that they grew up in schooling, and they try to recreate it at home.
Well, let's back up a little bit.
Sure.
Let's actually tell them it's always been. Okay, it has become more visible now, more than ever.
Oh,
but
yeah.
what the school system has always been is it's been driven by bureaucrats. It's a bureaucratic system, okay, where certain groups of people are in charge and make decisions on basically on the future of your child,
Right.
where parents have little to no input. And actually, some parents may not even have any interest, because for them it's a place to drop off their children to be taken care of while they go to work or do whatever they need to do.
Right, and of course there's plenty of pitfalls that most people don't realize, because they're looking down through their own history and they're saying, well, I turned out okay, so it must be okay to do this. And then you start doing an analyzation of what actually occurred, and you look at your teenage years and you think of the conflicts that you had with your parents and how you viewed your peers and stuff like this, and that's kind of the issue that we have.
Yeah, and the reason why I say it's become so visible is because you see it in the quality of our society. Okay? The society that we have now, the conflicts, the chaos that we're facing now is based on the influences that these people have had along the way. Okay?
Right.
And it all comes down from there's roots.
Right.
And roots are in our educational system, our education system.
Well, it's in the educational. That's one catalyst.
That's
The
one
other one
catalyst.
is actually within the family, and the conflicts with relationships.
The lack of the parenting,
Right.
the actually, I would say, the positive parenting, because the thing is, and I say the education system because really kids are away from the home for such a long time,
Right.
and parents have less and less influence on their children. It's more like the state has taken ownership.
Correct. And so what happens is your kids are more into the school,
Into that environment,
than they are. So you, as a parent, you lose influence.
and they bond with whoever they connect with, which is unfortunately going to be their peers, which are inexperienced as well.
Right. Because throughout history, parents educated their children. It's only been recently in human history that we've had the state come in mass and educate children.
The best example that I always like to give is the families that are farmers,
Right.
okay, or the families that were independent, and they weren't not they didn't rely on the infrastructure that we have today. They grew their own food, they raised their own animals, and they grew and they lived off the land.
Right.
Okay, and so they had big families. They had lots of children, and they would help that same thing.
And they would learn from
and
their
they would
parents.
be homeschooled, or if they're in the little tiny community of a few families within a certain area, then you have a little farm school.
Right.
And country school, actually.
A country school.
And so a lot of little kids, and kids of different ages, because it's a country school. You can't have different age because you might have a 10-year-old here, a 3-year-old there. So it was almost like a Montessori style. Right. It was a little school with kids of different ages learning things in
Right. And the thing is with that model, the teacher was accountable directly to the parents.
Exactly. There was no bureaucrat on top of that.
Right. So
controlling it.
She had to perform well and treat the kids well.
And the kids needed to learn what they needed to learn to run the farms, right?
That's true. But the thing is what we're trying to analyze is how we as parents now, we realize that we want to do something other than send them back to that environment, because the first thing that we saw, and I read so many comments on, is that my kid almost, it's looked like he has PSTD.
Mm-hmm.
He's in shock.
Or any other issues,
he's
right?
decompressing from being in public school, and it's not what I realized. I mean, I was busy with my own life and going to work and stuff like this, and now I'm home and I'm seeing this child that I raised to a certain age, and now it's almost like a stranger.
Yeah, and the thing is, it's not just public school; it's private schools too, because it's the same method. And the thing is, the only difference with private schools is they have a higher quality of academia,
right.
Only because they're gonna, supposedly these kids are from a higher income,
right.
And they're gonna want to go to an Ivy League type college.
Right.
Okay, so that's the only difference, but the method and the approach is the same. You have the same bureaucratic influence.
Well, yeah, it's like, okay, the same when we talk about same bureaucracy, there's several levels, but one, of course, is when we analyze how learning is supposed to take place in that model, and of reading, and then testing, and then grading.
And I know, and because it's not individualized,
right?
A lot of kids cannot follow that particular form.
Well, a lot of time is wasted. I mean, you have a class for 5-8 hours a day, and the thing is most of that time is completely wasted in managing people.
Exactly, it is a waste of time. It's because you have one teacher trying to have 30 kids do something, right?
Right, and so the first thing the parent says is like, okay, I don't know if I can homeschool for 5-6 hours a day, and they don't realize that. You don't have to do that.
No,
you can take that information,
right,
and convey it to them.
It's a farce because because in the school system what they push is academia. It's academics, okay? And why? Because they think that everyone should end up at university.
Right.
And the thing is you have a lot of kids with university degrees and big debts.
Yes.
And they're not getting anywhere. And even if they are successfar, they're not happy. It's another bureaucratic environment.
Well, think about it. Until they reach senior in high school, they've been told everything to do.
Yes.
Hang on. They've been told everything to do, including, can I go to the bathroom? And now the school counselor says, what do you want to do with your life? And the kid's like, I don't know. You tell me.
Yeah, never been asked that question. Never been asked to contemplate on that.
That's
what
right.
kind of things you like to do? What are you good at? And they never really been asked those questions.
And since this one size fits all educational model is applied to everyone, no one really gets a chance to look at something that they really like to do. And focus in on that, because the bell rings and they got to change subjects.
Right, and the thing is, people also have this false idea that if you don't have a college degree, you won't be successful in what you do. And we have met so many people who have been successful without a college degree.
Yep.
Remember when we bought a car and there was the young man doing the finances?
Right.
He never got a college degree.
No, he didn't. And,
but he was very smart and he was good at what he did.
oh my God, his ability to calculate interest rates in his head.
He crunched numbers. He was good at that, and he found a job that tailored to that, and he was really good at it.
I've known people who were blackjack dealers. Okay. And they didn't have a college degree. They were just very good at numbers and they're very intelligent. And so it was amazing how quickly they could do that mathematics involved in even, doing blackjack.
And you see people, those stories, and then you see the stories of the kids with all these degrees and debt and not going anywhere with their lives.
Right. And part of that is, okay, and this, we know somebody who has a PhD in an engineering field. We'll just say that. Mm-hmm. And the thing is he graduated with his bachelor's and said, "What now? I don't know what to do.
All I know what to do is study."
Right. And so he says, "Well, you're going to have to get your master's." So he tackled that and got his master's. And then after the master's, like, "Well, I don't know what to do now." And so they said,
all I know how to do and I do well is study.
Right. So he got his PhD, and after
Yes.
that, it was like, okay, well, that's it. What do I have to do? And so he was hired at some.
But he was a very socially awkward person.
Right.
He didn't develop the other skills that probably would have helped him be a very much more successful person.
And when he did get hired, he didn't last.
He didn't last. Mm-hmm.
And so he had to go back home.
Yep, it's a very sad story, but this is the things we're just trying to take away the what do we call this? The false information or
right.
False
I mean, these are anecdotal
perceptions.
Stories, and we know
But the thing is, going to university does not guarantee things anymore. There was a time where it did actually, where it was meant for the kids who were more scholarly.
Right.
And didn't have to be pushed to go to university. They wanted to go. They wanted
Right.
to pursue it.
They
higher academics. And
they wanted to pursue a specific skill.
Right.
For a specific task.
And they did that, and it was successful, and they got the careers that they wanted. But right now, when they're telling everyone should go, it's kind of like they're lying to them. You should go to guarantee success, but it really doesn't anymore.
No, it doesn't. And people are trying trade schools and that sort of thing. But the thing is when parents, they're right at the point where they're saying, okay, I hear what you're saying. I don't have to teach this, 8 hours a day, 5 hours a day.
Exactly.
Okay. I just have to teach them a certain amount.
Well, exactly. But the most important thing is you can't teach them anything in a good way that they want to learn it unless you have that relationship with them.
And
that's what we're saying is
that's the next pitfall.
Right. We have to homeschool a certain way. If we're just doing the same thing, then it's the same bureaucracy, just changing owners, and the owners are now the parents. And that's not an environment that a child is going to want to learn.
That same melees that you saw in your child when he got home from school, and he had to stay home and everyone's at home. That same melees that you see is going to happen again. And instead of him being sad from a teacher, okay, mm-hmm. and then sees his home life as a refuge, then he's going to start having those feelings at home.
Right. And the thing is, because you have your kids at home now, your number one priority is to be a good parent first.
Right.
Is be a good parent first, and then see how can I be a guide. In other words, how can I do more than just raise my child? Now I am going to educate this child. What do I want them to learn, or what should they learn under my care? Right.
And the thing is everyone in their mind, they believe that I'm a good parent, right? Mm-hmm. Hang on, that I know what a good parent is, mm-hmm. and they have this mentality of what that is. But really the simple fact is, can you be a good friend? Okay, what's that's like? What's it like to be a good spouse? What's it like to be uh, I mean, what does a relationship consist of? And if you don't have that relationship bond, basically what you have is somebody just dictating everything to people who are supposed to do what you say, and that's a lot of work.
And the thing is, because of the lockdowns, parents are finally realizing the state of the relationship. Now that they have
Yes.
them home because the kids have been away for so long, and they're finally, and not only that, but they're told, okay, your kids are now in your care because they can't come to school, but now we need you to teach them this, to take over for us. And so finally, it's all being revealed, not just the quality of the relationship between parent and child, but also what they're learning.
Right.
And so it prompts a lot of questions. But the biggest thing is the quality of the relationship is what comes out. Is if you see now parents and children having a lot of arguments,
Yes.
or being impatient with each other, having a lot of conflict, communicating, getting along, and the stresses along with that. And I was going to mention something else.
Because
but I forgot.
the parent has the parent jumps in and they start having anxiety because what if my child gets behind? And they feel it because when they were in school, the idea of getting behind was like, that's bad.
And so it reveals insecurities from both sides,
Correct.
from the parent and the child. So you know now that there's a problem with the relationship, that there's some wedges in there.
Right.
Okay, and that you're going to have to, that's why I say the relationship is you're going to have to break that down and fix that.
Right.
That's number one, because you can't teach anything if you're going to have a lot of conflicts along the way, right?
Well, yeah. I mean, if you want to teach somebody something, right? And let's change that verbiage. Instead of saying teach, let's say guide.
Guide is better.
Okay. So if we want to guide somebody into learning something, okay, how do you approach them? Right.
Exactly.
You appeal to their interests.
You have to be appealing, but you also have to be calm. Do you want
Yes.
to be taught by someone who's completely chaotic and
No.
impatient
Oh my God.
and raising their voice? Why aren't you understanding this? It's very simple, and the kid is like, I know, but the way you're approaching it, it's I don't want to learn it this way.
Or you have some parents say, "Come in here and read this book."
We gotta stick to our schedule. It's like wait a second, we're at home now. You should have more flexibility now. It should be a calm and serene environment. The complete opposite of what was given to them at school.
Sure. And the thing is you have many different age groups that are going to be homeschooling now. I mean, people have decided, yes, I'm going to homeschool, but I have no idea what program or how I'm supposed to do this. But the thing is let's look at one aspect of that, and that is, what are the planes of development? Where
we want to make a podcast on that alone, because
Yes,
that's
but
but you can mention it briefly.
I do want to mention
Yeah.
that, because the thing is a child's attention span is congruent to where they are in their development
and their maturity
and maturity and stuff like this. And so what you need to do is capitalize on where they're at and what they can absorb.
Yeah, this is why I want to address it on a separate podcast, because it's really a lot in depth.
It's
And we
incredibly
have
in depth.
And so but that's an education that a parent needs to have. You have to be educated in this. You have to realize this is the information I need to be successful with my
Right.
kids.
And the thing is it actually goes back into relationships again, because if you have a relationship, and the relationship changes from one plane of development into another, and as they grow, and as your child grows and is able to handle more things, like being able, or tall enough or strong enough or have
Right.
the ideas.
It's the evolutionary process.
But yes, the thing is as you're teaching them, you have to capitalize on where they're at, and that actually builds the relationship, because then you're not like always telling them what to do.
Exactly. You have to know where you're at with your kid, because this is one of the biggest thing with teenagers. They don't want to be don't want to be treated like children anymore.
Right.
And they shouldn't be.
Right.
They should have a level of responsibility and agency where you can pretty much trust them.
Right.
And with certain things.
And like we mentioned before, it's like the kids reach age 18 and they're asked, what do you want to do? But they've never been given agency.
Exactly.
In every stage of a development, the agency is tried and tested, and it goes through cycles.
Right. You have to make adjustments as a parent as your child grows, basically, because it's a lot of things that are changing. Is their intellect, their emotion, their physical. And
Yes.
there's one more that I always forget. But anyway, there's different elements in that
Well, you could say
stages.
spiritual, but
No, it wasn't that one. But I'll refresh my mind on that. But every aspect of what it means to grow up is what you're gonna have to make adjustments how to deal with
Right.
those, because it's different at every stage.
well, it's the same with any sort of relationship. As a relationship grows, there's changes that happen, and you make adjustments to them. You know, it's like if you have childhood friends and you treated them a certain way when y'all were children, and then the teenagers is a little bit different. I have a friend that I've had for many years. I met him in 8th grade, and we've been friends ever since. And I went through his, we were friends when he got married. I was his best man. When he got divorced and everything else like this, and that whole relationship has gone through many renditions, but we're still really close friends. It's because even though the environment changes, your friendship has to maintain. Now, some people might say, "Well, I'm not going to be a friend to my kids." Well, why not? Why not have that dynamic? And they already know you're the dad or you're the mom. They know that, okay? And they know that you have all this information that they want.
And they look up to you.
Yes.
And they want to learn from you. They really do.
But if they really want to learn from you, because you're making a connection.
Yeah.
Okay, you're not just telling them what to do. You're not just this authority figure in the house.
Don't be a jerk, basically.
Yeah.
Don't be a jerk.
The number one rule of any relationship: don't be an ass.
Yes, exactly.
You know?
Be the nicest person. I mean, the thing is, unconditional love with your children.
Right.
You know, they're not there to get you. They're there because they need you.
And the thing is like, okay, so the kid challenges you. Well, that's a development stage.
It is a development. They're supposed to.
At that age, they're supposed to start testing
Right.
their agency, because the thing is if you have a young teenager who's kind of challenging your authority, okay, you should have a track record of all these lessons
Yep.
that you have given them, to where you have been honest and upfront and loyal to the relationship.
Right.
So the parent has a wealth of status as a mentor and as a guide for
Yep.
the child. And so when you do have some confrontation, the parent can say, "I understand what you're saying, but let me explain things."
Right.
And then the teenager has the propensity to listen to you.
Also, I want to mention something, because this is also something that impacts families today, is that specifically with women. I know that women don't like to hear this, but we need to really talk about it. And that is the narcissism aspect. That, the thing is, once you become a mother, your job changes. Okay, it's no longer about you anymore. It's about your children. You're supposed to give them 100% of your time. And they're not going to need it 100%, but you should be willing to give them. Of course, you need to rest and sleep, obviously, right? Because otherwise you're going to be not a happy person. But this is why you need your spouse. Okay, but what I'm saying is, you no longer have those date nights and things like that when they're little, because they need you.
That's
they
right.
need you 24/7. Why would you have to find a babysitter to do those things? Date nights become date nights at home, right?
Sure. I mean, the thing is any plane of development, even as an adult, It's like the whole relationship, husband and wife relationship, is one thing when they first get married, and then when they have children, it does change.
Right.
Okay, and the thing is what is the purpose of children? And that is to project your values and your beliefs down through the centuries. Okay.
And the thing is, what I wanted to point out is that the children are watching you. Okay, they're actually paying attention to see where they are in your priority list.
Oh yeah.
Okay, and if as a woman you say, well, I need to go to the spa, I need to get my nails done and things like that, they're gonna notice that. Okay, if you do it,
very good point.
If you do it like okay, if you get a gift card for a spa day on Mother's Day, for example, that's acceptable because it's a special day, okay?
Right.
But if the thing is, oh, I gotta go every 2 weeks, I gotta do this, take care of my hair, do my nails and everything, the kids are gonna take note of that. They say, well, I can see where I am on the priorities.
Right.
With my mother.
And guess what? They see that model, and whatever model you're modeling. Mm-hmm. That's their model for success, okay? Because you've already arrived.
Right. And
okay?
The thing is, I'm not also saying, okay, moms, it's not, you got to be a mess. No, that's not it either. It's just you're going to have to make do with what you can at home.
Right.
Well, without risking that, without making your children the third priority, okay? They need to be first.
Ironically, narcissism is a visual disease. Mm-hmm. In other words, the narcissism of the parent is seen, and they will pick it up too.
Right, and the thing is maybe because I hear a lot of moms saying, I have 2 young kids. It's very stressful, it's overwhelming. It is. It's supposed to be. Okay,
oh, yeah.
It's supposed to be. Nobody said that was going to be easy. Okay, you're gonna have to be able.
You can definitely make it more easy.
You can definitely make it more easy. You're gonna have to change that attitude where you're gonna have the unconditional love for your children, looking at yourself that you're doing a wonderful thing for them. Now, if you're struggling, okay, that's a dysfunction that you need to resolve. That's a dysfunction of your past, of your raising, why you're having problems being patient, why are you getting triggered so easily. Those are dysfunctions that you need to resolve first. And they're not something that are normal, because really a normal interaction is an attitude is being happy and glad to be there for your children. If you're not having those feelings, then you have a dysfunction somewhere.
Right, and usually it's because you were not shown patience. You were not shown consideration. You weren't valued growing up, and so you develop an inner parent that really conflicts with what your goals mentally. Yeah. That you say to yourself, I want to be a good parent, but I get anxiety when I think about having to get up in the middle of the night and take care
and
of
change the bed sheets because there's an accident, right?
Yeah, exactly, or whatever crisis.
And I'm exhausted because my other 1-year-old is crying so much, or whatever.
Yes,
I mean,
of course it's straight.
Valid struggles with children, okay? But if you're not in the right mindset to tackle them, it's going to be a disaster.
Right, and so you take all of those factors of how you were raised, how you were educated, mm-hmm. and all those elements, and now you're saying, okay, am I going to use all these packages of skills mm-hmm. to homeschool my child? That's kind of like
adding more to the unresolved issues type
right.
of thing.
And so that's why we have to be very careful in explaining the importance of the relationship you have with your children, so that they will learn, and they will learn the lessons that you want to teach them.
And so for the people that don't have kids yet, we have to, if you have some dysfunctions, okay, definitely get the therapy.
Right.
Okay, if you're married, talk with your spouse a lot. How are you gonna tackle certain things when you have children? What are your weaknesses, right?
Right.
And you're gonna have to address those. And so, where were we?
No.
I lost my train of thought.
No, that's okay.
But the thing is, you're gonna have to pay attention to yourself as to why you act a certain way around during certain things with your children.
Right.
Okay, because it should be a loving, nurturing environment. If you're struggling, then maybe what you need to do is get up early in the morning when your kids are still asleep and have a conversation with your spouse.
Right.
And that's the thing, like we're having. So we have a conversation and we say we're struggling with these. What can we do? And the thing is, it may not be possible for a mother to get therapy because they're taking care of 2 young children,
Sure,
for example. Of course. But it will benefit you if you talk with your spouse. Talk about things. Your spouse may give you some good insight. This relationship.
And again, that's relationship building.
Relationship.
Okay.
You have to have. You have to have a strong husband and wife relationship where you can talk about these difficult topics and issues and come together with solutions.
That's right. And see this whole notion. I was excited. I was excited to hear that more and more people were wanting to homeschool. Because it's like now we're going to improve our relationships, improve the home life of families, because people are falling into the proper roles to teach the values and the morals and whatever you need to teach, instead of the state doing it.
Right.
Because the state can to teach anything, and there's a lot of things that the parents are completely ignorant about what the state is teaching.
Exactly.
And the thing is and in wrapping up, the thing is we have to look to relationships if we're going to be the mentors that we're meant to be, so that the values that you have and the values of both parents are projected down to your children, to their children, etc. And once you've established a very good relationship, you're not going to have those estranged parents that no one cares about. Okay?
The conflicts are going to go away.
Because once the kids are grown, that's a test to see whether you were a good parent or not.
Correct.
Okay? If the children don't call anymore and don't really want to have anything to do with you, that's kind of like a telltale sign of you kind of screwed up.
If they defoo you, right?
Yes. But
So we don't want to spend the holidays with you anymore because it's always been stressful, even more so now,
sure.
right?
But the thing is if you've established those relationships, right?
They're always going to be around you.
And they want to bring your kids to there, and those conflicts don't exist anymore.
They always want to be around you, and they always want to learn from you.
Yes.
This is why that is so important, because if you want them to learn from you, then you have to have that awesome relationship with them.
If you've always been a good mentor, they will want your mentorship
forever.
Even when they are masters themselves.
Exactly. They'll come for your consultations, things like that. So anyway, what we want to do is make parents stronger so that their families are stronger.
That's right.
We're giving them the tools to because they lack confidence right now.
Right.
This is a new adventure for them. They're nervous, and so we want them to give them the tools so that they can succeed.
Right. So in closing, do you have anything else?
I say good choice in homeschooling.
That's right.
It's going to be a wonderful adventure.
Yes, and please take advantage of if you need some more information, come to our website, homeschoollife.net, book a session with us, donate if you want to donate to our work, and thank you very much for listening.
Thank you. Bye.